This is going to be interesting today. Last time with Eden, and... How's it going, Eden?
Weren't kidding when you said it was a tiny little shop out in the kind of middle of nowhere.
Yep. Best place for this kind of thing. That and the fact the owner doesn't mind a couple of 100 credits to take a walk for an hour or so.
Mm. Oh, so it really is empty.
Yep. Why, do you think I'd hold a session with a patient and have people around to listen in? It's not like I really worry about my personal safety most of the time, you know. I kind of got ahead of the game on that part.
I guess.
Exactly. So, you reached out finally. That's a good thing. Nice step. What do you feel like you want to be talking about today?
I don't really know what I'm doing.
No one ever really
honest,
does.
So.
Sort of reminds me of retail. You know, working behind the bar and stuff. No one ever knows what they want until you almost tell them. But it doesn't work that way when I'm doing this kind of work, unfortunately. Since at this point in time, it's for you.
Yeah. It's like... I mean, what don't you already know? Really? You know?
I don't know, I can never remember the relative speed of light, exactly how fast the sun itself is rotating. Yeah, I don't know a lot of things.
So... I don't know, just... Oh yeah, so... Fuck. Don't know if it'll become an issue for you guys in the whole Saphira thing, but just thought I might as well mention it. You know, I actually forget. Do you know who Enoch was? Were you aware of that at all?
Nope, can't say I am.
No? Okay. Well, big bad guy was beat, but he is now sealed away within the keep of Dragonspire. So,
That to do with the madness stuff?
I don't know.
I'm kind of over the goddamn madness stuff.
I'm hoping to God that nothing happens with him and the whole madness bullshit with the infinite dungeon of bullshit that is in his basement.
But considering the fact that I was working at the Rip and Chip the day after everyone did that stuff down at like the Warrens, a whole bunch of people ended up coming on through injured as fuck, and there were only 3 medics to deal with anything. Me and 2 coworkers. Jeez. And then after about half an hour, when we were still starting to get busy, one of the other medics vanished. So it was just 2 of us dealing with a constant onslaught of people coming through. Trust me. Yeah. And I'm more triage than anything. I patch people up, I don't fix them.
But yeah, there's the whole madness thing going on right now, and... Oh yeah, there's like a portal to hell opening underneath Los Angeles. It's wonderful. I guess where else should it happen other than Los Angeles, but... So that's something
I've already heard that it was hell on Earth anyway.
But so...
Look, considering Market District didn't happen too long ago, and that was a hell portal as well.
Yeah, but didn't somebody open that? Like, that was, like, specifically something somebody did, though.
If I remember rightly, yeah, someone... Well, it wasn't that they specifically opened it for the reason that everyone thought.
No, but somebody went out of their way to open the hell portal, and then...
They wanted to pull something for themselves out of there to use... And they just didn't close the door after themselves. Best way to think about it. Unfortunately, yeah, I've already got other apocalyptic events on my radar as well, which unfortunately I'm not allowed to discuss. Kinda sucks, trust me.
I get it.
Trust me, the things that I hear, but doctor-patient confidentiality can't break the trust. As much as, well... I will if it's an endangerment of the patient or other people on a mass scale.
Yeah, I
As
was
it
like,
currently stands, that's not
pretty
something
sure
that
it was
I'm
that.
worried about. At least as long as logic works with someone. Seems that you've got a very work-based mindset, though, Eden. You know, you're focused on all the problems going on around. Or at least everyone else's
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah, because everyone else's problems then become my problems.
Kinda true, isn't it? I think you're at an
You know, if no one else
unfortunate
is willing
place.
to clean the house,
Yeah. Congratulations.
someone has to
You're a
do it.
mother.
yeah, as much as I dislike that idea.
Yeah. All the kids are out there making a mess, and there's you wiping faces and picking up the toys that everyone's throwing all over the place. I can understand that would be a rather stressful thing to be going through constantly.
With a bunch of adults that you would think who have worked in the industry for who knows how long.
Oh no, that is
And
no qualifier
all of this-
whatsoever. Come on, really?
Well, okay, I was gonna say where I came from, well, no fucking shit, but we were literally made for war, so I can't really talk.
I mean, I will
You're
admit.
aware of who Tyler is, right?
Yeah, I've heard the
I
name,
was
seen him
that.
around. Oh,
Big guy, armor,
yeah,
all
likes
that
to flash
fancy
step around all
power
the
and
place.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to be like that. I used to do shit like that. Fight literal gods. So,
Why'd you stop?
when I died. So,
And then
well,
I
died,
guess, well,
quotation marks.
that's how you, I will assume you weren't ever talking then.
No, I was a synthetic before the whole flesh thing.
Yeah, welcome to Flesh. It's interesting.
Yeah, touch, taste, temperature, texture. Just kind of everything.
Yeah,
But
trust me, I have to work on a daily basis to
Blinking.
feel any of that.
blinking was a new thing.
Yeah, I don't know much about synthetics, but I will assume that your optics were on at all times.
Effectively, like there were some things that the chassis kind of overrid, so it did naturally, and it was different for every exo. For instance, there was this guy named Cade who just loves to eat ramen, but it doesn't go anywhere. Like, we're synthetics. Like, it doesn't actually do anything necessarily beneficial for us other than just keep the mind from going insane. You know, because fun fact, it is a human brain inside of a synthetic, body. So
Oh, in that case, it's cyborg, not synthetic.
is that the distinction? I don't know.
Yeah. Look, if you've got biological matter mixed in with actual synthetic part, then yeah, technically I believe it's becoming a cyborg. Or being a cyborg, at least.
But yeah, but I felt pain, but it was only ever like, you get hit and it immediately goes away. None of this lingering pain stuff. But that's been new.
Yeah, it's
New.
a defense
been
mechanism.
several months at this point.
Look, I haven't felt pain in
So-
a long time, and then I got hit in the chest with a chair, and it hurt. Wasn't expecting that. Very
Yeah, so-
strange experiences. I mean, I get where you're coming from when the lack of feeling is, well, the point of things. Though I'll probably
And
say
at that point,
you
I'm
probably got a
just
better
rambling.
skincare routine than me.
No, not really. I just wash the dirt off.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I actually don't have to maintain any of my muscle mass. Fun stuff.
Huh.
It just does it naturally. That whole passive regeneration thing.
Well,
Or that
by like,
physical condition.
yeah, how biology works. If you regenerate, you're not going to be able to actually gain muscle mass either. You'd literally be stuck in a stasis point. Since people
Yep.
forget that's how muscles work, you have to tear the muscle so that they can
Yeah.
regrow to be stronger. But if it's reverting back to the original point, you're never going to get any stronger. Interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't think I was going to be getting a biology
So.
lesson. One of those things, though.
Yeah. But just that kind of stuff. Which sucks because, again, Tyler, I used to be able to do all of that. I literally had the power of the sun in my hands.
I mean, so can anyone. It's
Now
called a
just-
nuke.
It is more literal. More literally. Like, but
Are you worried about what you seem to have lost? Like, changing from who you were to who you are?
lately, yeah. Didn't really think about it before because everything else was so new. But now I'm realizing, oh shit, yeah, I can't do anything. And
Well,
you've
you
already
can.
heard this, and we were standing in the hallway talking about that. But
Yeah, you have a slight feeling of helplessness about the fact, even though you're still a exceedingly strong person.
yeah,
I think that's not a bad thing, though.
don't want to get cocky or something like that.
That's not even about that. Anyone that gets stuck into a mindset where they simply follow the rules that they have set for themselves over and over because that's how they have learned to do things doesn't push their limitations in the first place. If you're not pushing your limitations, you don't learn. If you don't learn, you stagnate. If you stagnate, well, there's a reason they used to call it survival of the fittest, right? Adapt will die. People that are strong very much forget that there's always someone stronger out there than them, but there may not be someone out there that's smarter. But what do I know? I'm just a fair and street kid, essentially. Made good on myself.
It's a fair and street kid who jumps through different dimensions and
No,
gives therapy
yeah.
or whatever the heck this
Look,
is.
I picked up
mean-
wizardry as the elective, okay? That was my secondary focus in life. Psychiatry was first. Why? Because any street kid that can become a doctor means that a doctor gets paid an ass load of credits.
But yeah, no, I think about it all the time.
Do you miss it?
Just yeah.
So I'll assume you still had full emotional range even as a synthetic.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's you were still a person up there. Just naturally when you don't need to eat, breathe, blink, pain.
Yeah, I know those
hardly
feelings.
exists other than so it changes how you view things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was still a person.
Had you actually experienced those things before you were like that? Or is that all you... Ah. That's a bit of a difference, you see.
No, we get woken up out of the dirt somewhere by these little glowing drones called ghosts. First thing they do is they tell you, "I'm your ghost and I've been looking for you for blah 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 blah." The traveler has chosen you. So no, you wake up with nothing. You don't know who you are, what you are, where you are, when you are. You just been told that you've been dead for an indeterminate amount of time, just a long time. And now you need to pick up a gun and start fighting. That's it. And that's what you do.
I do not know who I am. I do not know where I am. All I know is I must kill.
Mm-hmm. And you can't die. Well, you can, but it's just very hard. You die, you get shot in the head. Kind of goes to black, and then you wake up an instant later, 10 feet away. Ready to go again.
Yeah, waking up again from when you're dead's a rather interesting experience. I can definitely attest to that one as well. Kind of strange, the parallels, to a degree. Except I don't think if I get, like, smushed or something, I'm going to just appear again 10 feet over to the side.
Yeah. Incinerated, decapitated, ripped apart.
Decapitations... Yeah, that's a thing. But, well, I mean, I'd still be alive, technically. Well, dead. Either or, you see. Are you worried about your mortality now? The fact that you can die?
Yeah. I'm terrified of it.
Have you heard the call of the void yet?
And less so. What?
Have you heard the call of the void?
What's that?
So the call of the void is that little thought in the back of your mind. Say you're driving along a cliffside road. Right? You know, nice car, big sheer cliff. And suddenly that thought enters your mind of, I should swerve very hard and just go off that cliff. Right now, just to see why. That is the call of the void.
I guess I just call that morbid curiosity.
Yeah, it technically is. It's the innate need to know something that is unknown.
Yeah.
It's good to know that
living without
is there.
Permanent consequences for a long time, you know, kind of encouraged the behavior, so...
Exactly. Why I was thinking about it.
Told to try things. But no, I don't do anything anymore.
I mean, the horrible joke that most people would make, but I kind of can't, would be something about genitalia and spinning blades.
Yeah, not that kind of curious.
Yet someone will.
Not.
Some people will hear the call
I'm
of the
sure.
void and still just go, that's a great idea. Even though they know it's going to hurt, even though it's a bad thing, and they've been told this many times by many people, people still do it. I wonder what would happen if I put my hand in between these very heavy objects that are closing together. Things like that.
Should I stick my fingers into the fan or just leave the room right now?
Exactly. Pretty much. And it's good to know that you've got that thought process and curiosity there within you, because otherwise it gets strange when someone doesn't have that thought process. Because it's natural, it's normal. People that don't have that thought process tend to be very rigid in their ways of thinking. They don't think outside of their means or outside of a box.
I mean, I have it, but like I said, I don't indulge in it.
Oh no, yes, the entire point is having it. Indulging in it, that's a completely different, separate thing, and I would probably need to be heavily medicating you if you were like, yes, anytime that thought enters my mind, I should really follow that up. Like, I wonder what would happen if I stabbed myself with that knife. Yes, no, please, don't follow those voices. The fact that people forget that everyone has a little voice in the back of their head for their thought process. Well, okay, 25% of the population doesn't, which is weird, but some people don't understand that self-narrative is a thing. You think through your thought processes, but you hear them in a separate voice to yourself. Nothing wrong with that, completely normal. But it's you talking to yourself, following through the lines of logic, coming up with thought processes. Not everyone does that. Sometimes the ideas just pop into your head. That's natural as well. just different ways of doing it for different people, I guess. Oh, rather interesting.
Yeah,
Surprisingly.
because I was gonna say I haven't had a voice in my head for about 7 months.
But I'm assuming in that case it's not your thought process's voice. I'm assuming that was probably someone else doing something psionically.
It was our ghost. They're connected to you and they could talk to you.
Ah, see, that
But
definitely helps as well. But yes, I mean,
yeah.
that brings up a very interesting point as to if someone is discussing things with someone that is actively talking into their head, you see, is that a thought that is yours or is it distinct? Can you tell the differentiation? If you get used to it being like, yes, that's the voice that I always hear when I'm thinking something and
Oh,
it
I knew
thinks
it
it
was Ghost.
alongside.
I knew it was Iris. Yeah, it's absolutely Iris that was there doing it. Or if someone hijacked Iris, I knew that it was different. But that only happened once.
Fair enough.
But no, but ever since the whole dying and then Malachi or DT signed those forms and then Malachi did whatever he did and I woke up in a basement and suddenly, I had skin. No, I haven't had any voices in my head. I
Outside
talk
of
to
your
myself
own.
a lot more now.
Well,
What?
that's good. Well, outside of your own voice in your head. Talking to yourself out loud also technically counts. Like, the way people...
Oh, okay, because I was like, I don't have like a...
You don't have an internal monologue.
Don't think so.
Fair enough. Not everyone does.
At least not in the way you described it. Like it's not like I hear a voice, playing it. It's just I don't know. Quiet.
Yet you have an idea and you prefer to express it out loud to make sure that you understand that you've had the thought and putting it out there.
Yeah. But yeah, I talk to myself a lot more.
See, people that don't have an internal monologue tend to do that.
But no, yeah, it was very lonely. Without her for the first couple of weeks.
Do you miss them?
Yeah. Do I miss what they represented? No. But she was a friend. At least I like to think she was. I don't like to sit here and dwell on it because it's like, oh, was she actually my friend? Just trying
They
to,
won't, they...
keep me
You'll end up in
keep
circular
me
logic,
towards the
yeah.
path of the light, and yeah. So but
True, I mean,
I spent a lot of time.
it's a known fact that friends will manipulate other friends, but sometimes for their own benefit. Not their personal benefit, but the benefit of their friend. It happens. Sort of like how you
So.
lie to a person saying, oh, your hair's looking nice today. Could be an absolute rat's nest. But you're still going to give that person what they want to hear or something that they didn't know they wanted to hear. Just to brighten them up a little bit.
Gotcha.
Or in some cases, keep them safe. Be that voice of reason, but always the way someone's got to play devil's advocate, right? Sort of what I do here. I am both sides of the coin for people. But I am always, as I try to be, an objective truth about anything people ask me. Especially if they ask me things about themselves. Because a lot of people wonder how others see them. It's complicated like that. People have their own self-image. You see yourself as you, and that's perfectly natural. but suddenly the thought of how everyone else perceives you, suddenly that's strange. It's like looking into the mirror and not seeing your own face.
I suppose I experienced a very real version of that, though.
Exactly.
But, meh. But. So I guess since you brought that up, do you think I try too hard?
Yes and no. It's a bit of both. You try hard because, well, I don't think you're a people pleaser. You just want to do a good job. You want to give your all because that's how you've always been, from what I can tell of you at least. But on the flip side, you're also stopping people from making their own mistakes. In a mildly selfish way, though, because you realize that if you don't help them early on and they do make those mistakes, chances are those mistakes are going to fall into your lap and you have more work to deal with in the first place. Bit of both, you see. You both want to be hands-off so that people can make the mistakes, but hands-on so that you don't have to deal with them. Nothing wrong with that little bit of selfishness. It's natural. Like, no one likes making a mess. And least of all, cleaning it up. It's like cooking. Right? I haven't done it in years, but there was nothing worse than you make a nice meal, something that's actually good. You spent time and effort. And you can enjoy that meal. That meal will be delicious. But then you look over at the kitchen and the bench, and it's just covered in all the pots and pans and dishes that you've got to clean up later. You've had something wonderful. You've had something that you really enjoyed. And then you have to counterbalance it with all the things you don't like. The cleaning up, the mess, the time that you have to do there, because you spent so much time in the first place making the thing you liked.
Do you think I set too high expectations?
On yourself,
Where
yes.
I think I should be.
That's an easy one. The fact that every time that I have been to the Neverlight, you are always rushing around, normally after someone else. It doesn't seem like you've got people coming to you to help you. Which, well, surprisingly in this case, is good that you actually reached out and showed up. Shows you actually want someone to care for and help you through these kind of problems. But you're a closed woman. You don't like admitting the fact that you need help, because then it makes you seem weak, and if you seem weak, people won't come to you for that help in the first place. But you understand that if they do come to you...
I get called useless, and I get called an idiot, and I get told I'm not doing my job, I get told I'm not doing it well enough, I get all of these other fucking things that like...
Exactly, you're beholden to a standard that is technically impossible to maintain. Sounds very corporate, though.
Yeah, despite everything I fucking do, or try to do, and what everyone else doesn't do, I'm still constantly being told, oh yeah, why don't you go do your job? I don't know, how about the guy who literally hasn't been around to do his job for months? It's almost been 7-8 months that he hasn't been here doing his job, yet no one yells at him. No one gets on him, and the fact that I point that shit out, then everyone gets mad at me for pointing it out.
Which is a bad thing for them to do. Rules for thee and not for me is always a terrible thing to see. Especially because the fact that it's easy to tell that you put in the effort in the first place. I may not have had all of the information at my fingertips when we did have that discussion at Neverlight, but I could tell straight away that you needed someone to slap you around the face somehow and bring you back to yourself because you were starting to spiral in a very bad way. In fact, you seem to at least understand that by the end of it and bring yourself back up and realize that everyone pushing this onto you isn't the right thing to do. There's not much you can do about it, sadly. Seems that you're in the unfortunate position of, well, what did they call it for the Japanese? More like a black company. Drive the workers into the ground with how much effort they have to put in with minimal reward. But it's almost like learned helplessness. If you know how that works.
The part that pisses me off the most is people are always like, oh, we have to fix this, we have to fix that. Okay, but how do we fix that? Let's not focus on the thing that we may have a little bit more information on, or at least something we can try. Because the other thing, we literally just have to wait. Like, there's literally nothing we can do about it. Yet they want to focus on the thing that we literally can't do anything about. And I point that out and everyone gets mad.
Because people want to come up with an idea ahead of time. People want to be prepared. They want to be pragmatic. If they are that way, they don't have to worry so much.
But again, that one thing, all we can do is wait, so we're not doing anything to deal with that. But the other problem that we can at least, continue working on, we can still do something about that. We can still try something. But they won't get anywhere near it. They just ignore it. In fact, it walks around the office. I'm sure you've seen Ceratus walking around. The clown.
Names and faces, so.
The clown with the horns. Purple smoke.
Not ringing a bell, sadly.
I'm sure you'll run into him eventually.
Don't forget, I'm still only a consultant for Neverlight. I specifically made myself so that I didn't get too dragged through your office politics and could make sure that I'm a objective viewpoint for things.
Well, no, but he'll notice you at some point and come bother you.
People bothering me is an interesting thing. Takes a lot to do that. But I'm sure I'll get a nice read on them.
It also doesn't help. It also doesn't help that everyone in the office is so ready to throw Malachi under the bus. Instead of wanting to actually help him. They're just, oh, I'm sure Malachi is off doing this bad thing or off doing this bad thing. It's like, really? You can't just leave the man alone?
Do they have a track record of doing things that are detrimental to themselves or others?
Not in the way you may think. Recently, he's done a few things, but that's only very recently. They act like he's been doing this forever. Needlessly going out of their way to basically talk shit. Like he's actively trying to end the universe or something, and it's like, really? But like that, like everyone expects for him to, suddenly rip off the mask and be like, oh, look, I'm actually the bad guy here, and
what gives you pause for thought on that? What makes you think otherwise?
I don't know what all he's gone through specifically, but the man's older than dirt, almost older than time. I mean, for fuck's sake, I don't know how long he's been on this, in this reality. But literally had an eldritch god, in his body that was actively trying to, take control sort of deal. That's what Enoch was. He was part of that. But he had to deal with that. And then after all of that happens, something about the Antichrist and this group of anomaly haters. I don't really know what to call them. But they very much dislike anomalies and things of that nature. For some reason, they despise Malachi. Literally, their whole purpose is to hate Malachi. For something he did in self-defense hundreds of years ago. So, he is not dealing with. At some point, they came up and were like, oh yeah, come with us. And he left for some reason. Whatever. He left. And then we end up finding him in some ice prison, completely catatonic. And it turns out, as we figured out later, he did it to himself. He did some weird magical bullshit and, locked his mind away.
That does happen with magic sometimes. People do strange things with it.
But during that time that he was catatonic, a bunch of bullshit happened, and his infant child was killed. Weeks old. Still in the hospital. By the very clown that's walking around the office.
Ah, now it makes sense. And yet there's no repercussions for the individual, and you feel that justice has not been served.
Not that we can do anything about it. He's a fucking immortal angel who can literally do anything. So
I've got myself mixed up in a very strange place, haven't I?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Maybe I'll just stick to helping out your research department.
That'd probably be safer.
Yeah, considering it's what I'm kind of good at.
So yeah, and...
So you've got two diametrically opposed people that you feel the general consensus of the public viewpoint within the office is completely flipped as to how it should be.
Well, okay, but so Ceratus, straight up a villain. He manipulated all this shit to happen, all this other stuff to happen. He has straight up said that he orchestrated the meeting of Malachi and his wife because he was bored. Granted, it worked out wonderful for them. They're happily married. They had a kid. But then Ceratus went, you know what, I'm going to do this. And so killed Malachi's kid. Because he was bored. And he wanted to see what would happen. And he was going to do that with another employee, Allison, who he was dating. He had said, all this stuff and that he liked her and this, that, the other thing. And he just wanted to see how far he could manipulate her. But there's literally nothing we can do about him. You can't touch him.
Well, there is something you can do, but it's obviously exceedingly dangerous considering the individual. But whether or not that's my place to say, I don't know.
If you have a way to catch somebody who can disappear and change their biology at a will and literally do anything they put their mind to for less than 5 seconds, then by all means.
You get them to do it to themselves. Simple as that. You can't do anything, make them do it to themselves. Get a profile on them, get a read, figure out whether or not they are prone to particular rote behaviors.
Literally make them fall on their own sword.
Yeah.
But
that's just me, from a psychiatrist's point of view.
But yeah, but so when Malachi woke up and heard about all that, he had a bit of a meltdown. And he hasn't been able to cope with the fact that this was his second child that was killed, who he never got to meet.
That's kind of fucked up, yeah.
Yeah. So nobody seems to understand that Malachi hasn't actually done anything to deal with all of that that's happened to him. So he's acting out. He lashes out quite violently, but usually at people who deserve it.
Well, yes, it would be the equivalency of a caged animal. You go and rattle the bars or poke your fingers through, and what happens?
Yeah.
I see why you could be upset about that. You obviously have definite care for the person, but also the fact that you've logically looked at the situation at hand and decided that it's not fair. You don't draw any parallels between what you're going through and what he is? That lots of things are being pushed onto individuals that don't deserve to have things pushed onto them? And that no one takes the time to
No,
care?
not really, because it's not one of those things where people are constantly going to Malachi and, complaining about certain things not being done and, certain people need to do their jobs. They just kind of ignore him. They don't really care about what Malachi does until they need something of him.
So more of a, they're there, we ignore them, now they're useful. Okay. It's
Yeah.
not exactly a healthy way for people to be viewing other people, especially, well, within a work environment. You okay?
No. Ephraim didn't come home last night. And I haven't seen him.
You would have to remind me who that is.
He's my boyfriend.
Ah, that's right, you have mentioned your, well, relationship. I don't think or know if I've met your boyfriend or know him. So. Not exactly
But yeah,
something.
no, he didn't come back to the house, and all of his stuff was there, including his phone. So
So you're worried about the fact that something might have happened untoward?
I don't know. I don't think there's anyone who would be able to do something. The only person that I know who's really fucked him up is locked up in Dragonspire, so. But yeah, so. Don't really know what to do about that. It's just also not normal.
Of course, if it's outside of the normal things for how you know a person, that's definitely going to be something that can't really sit well with you.
Especially considering, like, like 3 days ago or something. He went out of his way to like cook a big ass meal and everything, and this is the first time he had tried doing that, and it was nice. And then
You
don't see
haven't
him all
been
day, and then
experiencing any lack of communication before this? Like, you could both openly talk with each other
no,
about what you were doing?
yeah,
It does sound rather untoward then.
so
Are you going to be going and looking for
I
them?
don't know. I wouldn't know where to start. I don't have any idea where he would go, especially not nowadays. If it were when we first met, I alleyway like this somewhere, just wanting to get away from people.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I don't know.
It's all been very enlightening, Eden. I can definitely see why you go through all the stresses that you do. Especially considering, right there, the main thing that has probably helped you de-stress. Your boyfriend is suddenly, well, MIA. That's not a good thing for you.
And I know he's stressed out about he was stressed out about something. Like I assumed it was just work or his brother, Malachi.
Ah, that might be
Like, but he just kept saying he was fine.
okay. As a psychiatrist, I hate that. Anyone that ever says, I'm fine, is lying through their fucking teeth most of the time. But also, at the same time, you can't really press them on it because it's that, I'm fine, oh no, I'm fine, I'm fine. They'll keep repeating it.
Mm-hmm.
It's... There's not too much, unfortunately, that I can do except sit here and listen to your problems, offer advice where I can. But in cases like this,
Yeah, I know.
I can't exactly offer too much because, well, if you don't have any information in the first place, there's not much you can really do about it.
And it's one of those. Do I try? Do I try to look for him? Or is that a huge red flag? Like, oh, I don't trust him. I don't.
How did he seem last time you saw him? Was it just the meal?
It just normal. He seemed a little distant, but not, nothing that wasn't uncomfortable. It was just, because, not every people don't, even if they're in a relationship, you don't cling to each other,
Look, I
maybe
will tell you
initially,
this.
sure, but
As a guy, we like our partners to be around, but also not around. What's the way to make it sound so it doesn't sound like I'm a complete cunt?
no,
Sort of like a
it's
cat.
knowing, but yet knowing someone's in the house with you.
Yeah,
I get that.
exactly. The fact that
It's
you'll go over and get affection and be like, hey, how you doing? Want to have the physicality, and then
yeah.
be like, cool, you're doing good. You want me to get you anything? Then go
Cool,
back to what you were doing.
I'm gonna go out in the garage. I'm gonna go out in the
Yeah.
garage and go do. Okay, and then they go and do whatever.
Yeah, it's a rarity that people understand that one sometimes. So the fact that you understand that means that you've got a very healthy relationship going in the first place. You understand both what your boundaries and spaces are, and that you both have your wants and needs separate from each other, but also together at the same time. That's good and healthy. So that
So
would
just, but it's like,
raise my suspicions a
do
bit
I
more that
do
he's
I?
off and about. But how long was it since you last saw them? It was 3 days,
It's
right?
been
Something like that.
no. He, it's been about 2 days now.
2 days.
I didn't see him. I didn't see him at all yesterday, and
And his
he
phone
didn't
is
come
at
back to the
home.
house, and he hasn't been back since.
I would say give him another day. And then go looking. There's nothing wrong with saying after 3 days that you got worried. I mean, you care for them in the first place. Showing that care by making sure that they're okay, especially if they hadn't given you a note, there was no information given to you, and they have just vanished. That's fine. Where to start looking, I don't know. I do know that at the
I could always check
Carrion-
the office cameras.
Yeah,
See
I was
if
going to say
even
we
by
can
the
do
office there's.
scrolls of scrying as well. You can look for people with that. I mean, you have their personal belongings. You can use that as a way to focus them.
So yeah.
You know, Eden, I don't know how your physiology works on things, especially considering you have strong regeneration. How does your body react to drugs?
Well, I mean, alcohol, get drunk really fast, but then we also sober up really fast. It also doesn't take a whole lot.
Okay. So average of 4%. I'm gonna hate having to say this. How much do you weigh? Normally, I'd never ask a woman like her weight, but in this case, it's.
I don't care. Fuck. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I mean,
You're big and
I'm
muscular.
6'5". I'm
Yeah, you're.
6'5", and I'm nothing but muscle.
Upwards of 200, then probably.
Probably.
Okay. No worries there. So I'm just doing the maths on what dosage would be. Because I do have something in mind for you that might help you at least. Or at least take the edge off. Without it being an actual, like... Well, without it being marijuana. Normally when it comes to that kind of thing I would say weed. But in this case, I don't think that would really affect you for long enough. And, well... Smoking or ingesting that amount is probably not that good for you. So, boost Prion, yeah, that would be a good one. Yeah. I'm just going to write you out a quick prescription for this. You ever been on an SSRI before?
What's that?
Selective serotonin reciprocator inhibitor. Although in this case it's an agonist, not an antagonist. Sorry,
A lot of words that I.
yeah, look. See, this is what makes me a psychiatrist, not a psychologist. Psychiatrist, I prescribe drugs because I know what they do. Psychologist goes, you feel bad, let's make you feel better, get you out the door. Yeah, no, that's not me. I try to help you in the interim between that. In your case, you definitely seem to be going through a lot of stress, not only in your home life, but your work life. So I'm going to prescribe you something, in this case, Busprion, or under the normal cell name of, what is it? They call it, like, Buspar. Yeah, it's like Buspar over the counter. It's an anti-stress medication. Shouldn't inhibit you too much. Just if you start feeling that you're getting overly stressed, taking one of those, especially with you saying that your biology is affecting like how you drink alcohol and it hits you fast. In this case, I'm trying to specifically tailor a dosage to you that's not going to be an overdose or an underdose, depending on how fast it goes through your system.
But since it seems to affect you quickly with alcohol, maybe 150, so 2 tablets. Yeah, 75. Give you a week's course to help take the edge off. And then, yeah. Try that. Look, I never purport to be able to help at all times, but I'm always willing to. Best I can do for you right now, until you get more information about exactly what you're feeling, is that. Helping you take the edge off so you can focus a bit better. Because that's probably something you want. You've got a lot of things going on in your life, and you probably want to make sure that you can separate which parts you want to work on first. Because you've got a whole stew pot going.
Yeah. It's just figuring out which one.
Write a list. Write it all down. Big sheet of paper. Write the list of everything that's currently going on. The big bullet points for the big things that you feel are there, like Malachi, your partner, everything, right? Just big bullet points, bold the people. Then do the corporate thing. Circle them. Pros and cons off of them. What's happening here? What do you know? Make the flowchart. It not only will help you sort through things manually, be able to focus exactly on what you're looking for within each of these parts, but you'll also see which is a bigger problem than the others. And then you can decide whether or not you want to deal with the small problems first, get them out of the way, the small things at the back of your head that are essentially biting at your ankles, or if you want to try and tackle the big things and get them out of the way, the big stressors, the weights. Never going to be easy, but my emails are always open, and I'm always ready and willing to sit down and help you work through things. The fact that you've opened up in the first place here, you showed up, you actually sat down, you wanted to talk, and you've just naturally progressed through conversation topics you wanted to get through. It's the entire point of this.
Okay.
You don't have all the information yourself, and without all that information for yourself to make your own decisions, I can't help you as much as I'd like. But again, when you come up with that information, I'll be here to help you.
Yeah.
Never forget. You don't have to walk alone, right? You can always ask for help.
I guess that's just kind of the hard part, yeah.
Well,
finding people who are
the fact you reached out in the first place,
able.
I'm honored. A lot of people don't trust people in the mental health professions. They think we're all here to just put you into a box and ship you off like just another thing. No, you're a person. That's the first and foremost.
Yeah.
But you're also in pain.
So are corporates. I think it's.
I mean, that in my
say what you
personal
will about
opinion
them.
is kind of corporate entities. But that's just being a local. So.
So, yeah, I can only imagine.
The worst one I will tell you,
But
it's the joke that I always make, but I'm glad that it never actually came to fruition. There was once a trial put out for peer review about a drug called Bliss. Corporate entity thought it was a great idea. It was addictive on sight and made you, when you take it, feel that you were God.
jeez.
Yeah. Glad that never made it to the streets, because that would have caused an absolute fucking shit show. But
Yeah.
people take the human factor out of it in corporations. People do forget that, well, they are people. You're definitely a person.
What do I do with this?
If you start feeling stressed, take a pill. Should 5 to 10 minutes. Normally, it starts normally kicking in. It should help even you out. Clear the mind a little bit. It's a serotonin inhibitor.
Got it.
Well, agonist in this case. If you start feeling stressed, it should make you start feeling a bit more happy about things. Because nothing worse than if you start going down into the worst directions we can think. Stress tends to beget that you look at the negative, because stress is based off of negativity. Add a little bit of positivity in there, and suddenly you can look at it from a different perspective. Because that's what normally stress is. You feel that there's only one direction to go with any particular thing you're thinking, instead of taking that step back and going, actually, no, I can do this instead. It's not a permanent fix, just something for if you start feeling very stressed. But considering the situation you're currently in, you've got a lot on your plate, and you've got no one else really in your corner. So the best I can help you with right now, aside from sitting here and listening to your problems, is at least giving you something that when you don't have people you can talk to and get you out of that place, that you can help yourself. Think of it as a tool.
Got it. Okay.
But as it stands, I think that's probably the best we can do for you today.
Yeah.
Any pharmacy should be able to fill that out over here or, well, back at yours. I might try to drop by Neverlight
Okay.
later, potentially, if I'm not in the middle of research or something. Just happens to be how I go, you know.
Yeah. Plus the office is kind of out of the way for you, considering.
Yeah, I'm not
realities.
the best at reality hopping. It's difficult. Takes me a bunch to get there.
I get it. I guess the one nice thing about being there all the time, I can just kind of.
Home sweet home and something, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got this, Eden. Okay?
Thanks.
You're gonna do it. Okay?
Ater.
Look,
Yeah.
I could come out with the blasé lines: if you can put your mind to anything, you can do it. Anyone that says that doesn't understand how hard
only
work
that
and
were
effort
true.
works. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you've definitely got that, because, well, not everyone would be dumping their work onto you and having you fix it if you didn't know how to work hard and if they didn't trust you like that. Perspective, right?
I guess.
Anyway.
But also just choosing not to go the whole self-deprecation route and just
Yeah.
not saying anything.
Look, there's
Just being
nothing
like,
wrong
"Okay,
with it.
I'm
There's
just going to
nothing wrong
agree
with a
with
little bit of self-deprecation. The amount of times that it disarms people is kind of funny. I do it to myself all the time. Why?
Oh yeah.
Like, look, I got a massive hole in the side of my face. The jokes I could make, they're easy. See, just like that. Because what happens? You get someone that's worried and stressed and has all this on there, and they can still laugh. And that shows that they're not as far down the bad path as they think they are.
True.
If you can find humor even when you're in the darkest of places, there's still light somewhere.
All right. Well, get out of here then.
It's fine. Good luck then. Maybe I'll catch you later. Okay?
Yeah. Stay safe getting out of here.
Oh, yeah, no, I've got research to do. You have a good one.